And then we're also working hard to make sure that we initiate some initiatives that will set Dublin apart as well, so that we become a national leader in the smart mobility area. So 33 Smart Mobility Corridor, this is showing the automotive cluster, and there's more than 66 automotive companies along the corridor. And several of these companies are involved in the initiative. These companies are also having to transform their business model. You know, they've been focusing on vehicles and vehicle parts. They're all reinventing themselves because, as I said, smart mobility is really transforming the entire transportation industry, including automotive companies. So what this screen is showing you is all these companies, we're really leveraging the fact that we have this automotive epicenter here. We're working together with the industry, and we also have a vision and a goal of leveraging these efforts for economic development. So by being out there across the country talking about this test bed, and we're open to testing, we're also attracting new businesses, tech businesses that come to the area. So there's a lot of different aspects to all of these efforts. At the core of connected vehicle technology, so these terms are kind of thrown out there, connected vehicle technology, automated vehicles. Connected vehicles are vehicles that can talk to one another, or they can talk to the infrastructure such as the striping on the road, or they can also talk to roadside units on traffic signals. So the way this works is a vehicle will have an onboard unit installed, and then there'll be a roadside unit installed on the traffic signal, and there's communication that occurs between those two devices, and there's messages that are sent back and forth. So they really do talk to one another as the vehicles travel down the road. So if there's a vehicle with an onboard unit, in Dublin we've installed two city fleet vehicles, those onboard units receive messages from other vehicles that have the onboard unit as well as the roadside units. And those messages can be very, very important because they can give you a few seconds of notice of something that's about to happen. So for example, these are just examples of some of the applications that are being developed as part of connected vehicle technology. And there's an unlimited number of applications that will be developed. These are the ones that people or initiatives are tending to focus on right now. But for example, red light warning, what can occur there is a message will be sent to a roadside unit installed on a signal, then that a vehicle is about to, there's predictive analytics involved in this, and they can predict when a vehicle is about to run a red light. So at that moment, as soon as the device detects that that vehicle is about to run a red light, it'll send a message or a warning to an approaching vehicle so that you have a couple of seconds heads up, and you can stop and avoid that collision. So that's just one really good example. Another one is wrong way warning. So, these devices will pick up that there's a vehicle traveling down a ramp or down a freeway the wrong way, which you see that in the news every once in a while. Usually it involves results in a fatality, which is really unfortunate. So wouldn't it be awesome if you had a heads up about, hey, there's a vehicle a mile down the road going the wrong way. You could pull off to the side. I mean, just that awareness is really, really important and will really save lives in the end. So I mentioned that Dublin staff, the City of Dublin, City Council, we're working very hard to leverage all these initiatives, leverage all the investment that's being made in the region, and we also want to set ourselves apart. So Dana probably and Donna maybe touched on Connected Dublin. So we have quite a few initiatives that fall under the umbrella of Connected Dublin. The goal here is to connect the community, connect people, places they need to be, want to be, and it's all about economic development, improving the quality of life. So this graphic is intended just to show a few of the initiatives that we're working on. As part of the, can you see the red dot up there?
I did for a minute.
Anyway, so as part of the 33 Smart Mobility Corridor project, we installed 2 roadside units over on the Avery Muirfield corridor at Perimeter Loop Hospital and Perimeter Loop. So if you look at the mast arms of those traffic signals, you'll see 2 boxes up there with 2 antennae, and there's roadside units on those 2 intersections. We use that as a learning opportunity, training opportunity for our electrical crew to go out. They worked with Siemens, which produced the RSUs, roadside units. They installed those. We also, I mentioned, installed the onboard units in the vehicles, and we've been testing the communication that's been occurring between those 2. So if we're driving a city vehicle that has an onboard unit, we can see there's a screen in the car, and you can see the countdown. You can see how long the red light has until it will be turning green. And then in reverse, you can see how long the light will be green until it turns red. So we're just doing some very basic testing there, but those are the first 2 roadside units that were installed in Dublin. And there's plans as part of the 33 corridor, there will be roadside units installed at all of the signals along Avery-Weirfield, as well as at certain intervals all along the 33 corridor down to Bridge and High. So all the signals on Bridge Street, east of the interchange to High Street, will have a roadside unit installed on them. We also have the Share Mobility. We partnered with Share Mobility, and they are providing a circulator for our seniors to help them, get around the city. There's also a workforce circulator that's going to be launched, and that is going to help our workforce get to places that they want to be, back and forth from restaurants and entertainment, back to work during the lunch hour, or even to work. So that's connecting the community. We have installed EV charging stations, or electric vehicle charging stations, at several locations. We were the first public agency or public entity to install connected charging stations. So we're getting data from those charging stations. We're able to see, I'm able to sit at my desktop and see when they're in use, how often they're in use, how many trees have been saved, all that stuff. So we're getting all the data from those charging stations. We just installed 6 stations, or 6 spaces that have electric charging stations in the new parking garage as well. They're on the 2nd floor, in case you don't know that. We're also planning a fast charger in the Darby parking lot, so we're working with AEP to determine where we can get power to install fast chargers. So that'll be pretty exciting once we get that in place. And then one other initiative that I'll touch on is mobile parking. So we have a really unique opportunity in Dublin. We have a lot of parking inventory now, on-street parking lots, brand new garages. We have a great opportunity because we don't have any parking meters or infrastructure associated with parking management. So we're looking at mobile-only parking management system, which would involve an app. So we're in the process of selecting a vendor that would help us with that. And then we're going to be presenting that to council. We're going to be returning to council. We've had a few discussions with council, but we'll be returning to them, I think in June, to discuss the future of mobile-only or smart parking, if you want to refer to it that way. So turning to the pedestrian bridge. So this is the rendering that's been out there, the vision that's been out there since about 2008. It was first envisioned that there'd be a pedestrian crossing in the heart of Dublin across the river. The architect of the bridge is Paul Andres from Andres Studios in California. We've been working with him for several years. He's been very involved throughout the design and throughout the construction of the project to make sure that we're delivering his vision and that we're sticking to the true intent of this rendering, and that the bridge will really reflect this rendering once construction is complete. So this bridge is a very, very unique bridge, and what makes it unique is it's a suspension bridge. Those bridges, that bridge type is not constructed all that often anymore, but it's supported by cables, and it's also an S-curve deck. So that makes it very complex to build and time-consuming to build. So the S-curve means that the steel beams that were fabricated, none of them are alike. All of them are unique and different because of the curve. So they're triangular, and they also have a slight twist to them because of the S-curve shape of the deck. The pylon is really an architectural feature, and there's no surface that is alike. So Kokosi, the contractor, had to prepare or build custom forms to build the pylon, and each of the forms is different. So there's no 2 forms that are alike. This is the team. We have team members that come from all over the world. As I mentioned, the architect, Andres Studios from California, T.Y. Lin International designs very complex, really cool bridges all over the world. They're out of California. They were selected as the designer. We have Kokosi, which is a local contractor that's been doing a great job with construction. We have Genesis Structures is our structural engineering support. They're out of Kansas City. Kokosi has a company out of New York that's been helping with the erection engineering. We have Radiali, which has been supplying the cable systems, and testing on the cable systems that I'll talk about is has been performed in Germany. So it's been a tremendous coordination effort, and typically that means that we have meetings at about 10 o'clock, because that way everybody's awake in all the different time zones around the world. So it's been pretty interesting, but we do have an awesome team that we're working with. So this is a video that we put together that shows the exact sequence of the bridge construction. And so if you look really closely, you can see each of the pieces of the bridge start coming together. So there you can see the bridge beams being set, started on the east side of the river and moved towards the west side. They have to jack the entire bridge up. That's occurring now. Then they start installing the cables, and those are installed in a very precise sequence. Then they'll have to lower the entire bridge back down once all the cables are connected. Then they'll pour the deck, they'll install the railing, they'll tension, put all the cables in tension, and then they'll add the lighting, and then they'll remove those temporary shoring towers that are currently out there. So that's the sequence. Unfortunately, none of these activities can be performed concurrently. They're all very sequential, and you have to do them in a very precise order. So that's what makes bridge construction take a little longer than building a road or something else. So the pylon was built, it took about a year to build the pylon. It's 171 feet tall. That's the main tower that's out there, the concrete tower. 171 feet tall, there were 16 lifts. So Cocosine essentially had a handful of guys that built that entire tower. They had to install all this rebar. This is a picture of the foundation. They had to install a coffer dam to keep the river water out while they excavated for the foundation and the footer. And then on the right is a CAD drawing of all of the steel rebar that's included in the footer. And then as we start building the pylon. This is a close-up of all of the rebar. You can see how congested it is, but you can see how neat and tidy they installed it, because they did a great job with all that installation and the timing of the rebar, and there was a lot of rebar in there. This is just another picture when they started forming the rebar and forming the concrete at the keyhole. So you can see on the left, the keyhole is starting to take shape. The center is a CAD drawing of all the rebar that's inside of the keyhole, or the pylon. And then on the right, you probably all saw the stair tower that was built, and the Cocosine workers built the stair tower as they built the pylon up to 171 feet. Main cable anchorage, this is pretty cool. This is the anchorage that was lifted to the very, very tippy top of the tower. It weighs 9,000 pounds, and that is what the main cable will connect to at the top and then head down towards the end of the suspension bridge. East abutment, we had rock anchors. So there's 4 rock anchors at either end of the suspension span of the bridge. And those rock anchors are intended to hold 950,000 pounds of force. And they go 55 feet down into the bedrock. So those took quite a while to drill. It ended up taking each one 2 weeks to drill. And they go 55 feet down into the bedrock. And essentially, we were working in bedrock the entire time with this project. It's very, very close to the surface in this area. Steel girder fabrications, these were fabricated down in Tampa, Florida. Took about a year to fabricate these. They're rather small, and like I said, they're triangular, which isn't all that common. They're small, and each one has a twist, so there was a lot of care taken in fabricating these steel beams, and they were delivered one by one to the site. These are a couple cool pictures of Cocosine installing the steel through the eye of the needle, or the pylon. Cable system, these are special cables. They're fully locked coil cables. The exterior cable, you can see, has a Z shape. They're interlocking, provides for a very smooth and durable cable. There's only 3 places in the world that we could procure these cables from. One's in Italy and 2 are in Germany. We ended up selecting Cocosine ended up selecting Radiali in Italy. And these cables have been in the works for about a year and a half at this point. And there was extensive testing that needed to be performed on these cables to make sure that they can withstand the design life of the bridge. And this is a video of one of the tests. So it doesn't look that exciting, but this pushed the cable back and forth 2 million times. And the cables had to pass, each cable had to pass this test 2 different times. So one of these tests took 2 weeks, and there's only 2 labs in the world that can perform this test. So we had to perform all of the testing sequentially, which also added a little bit of time to construction. So 2 million times, and there was a certain number of cables that were permitted to break, or a certain number of strands that were permitted to break in each cable in order for the cables to pass. So the good news is all the cables passed all of the testing, and they are being delivered. So on the left, you can see our contractor and designer over in Germany with the first batch of cables that are ready to get on the ship. In the middle is a spool of the main cable. The cable diameters, the main cable is 5 inches in diameter, or 120 millimeters, and the hanger cables are a couple of inches, or 32 millimeters in diameter. On the right is the technician over in the lab, and that's one of the clamps that is at the end of each cable. And then last night, we have a tracking number for the cables. So last night I checked to see where they are. They boarded a ship in Genoa. That's what we were waiting on. They kept missing ships. So finally, we got word that they boarded the ship in Genoa, Italy, and they're on April 30th, which is my birthday. So that was great news, because we had waited quite a while. And they're about halfway here, so they're being shipped to Norfolk. And then they'll get on a truck, and it'll only take a couple days for them to get here. So they're anticipated to arrive in Norfolk on May 19th, which is a Sunday. So that'll be a big day for the team and the project once those cables arrive on US soil. Lighting, these are a couple of renderings of the lighting that we're looking to achieve, and we're in the process of acquiring samples of each of the lighting fixtures, and we'll be out there one night in case you see lights being shined. We'll be out there one night testing each of the fixtures before we place the order for all of the fixtures. So there's a lot of lighting that's going to be on this bridge, and we really want to make sure it looks spectacular tonight. It's LED lighting, and it'll be color changing and programmable. So that'll be pretty cool. We also have been working on handrail mock-up. There's 2 sections of handrail that's installed out there. It has an Ipe wood handrail cap. So that Ipe wood's been coming from North Carolina. We've been working through some details of the mock-up to make sure that the handrail comes out perfect. Budget and schedule, we're still on budget, which is great news. I've heard rumors out there that we're like 2 times the budget. That's ridiculous. We're still on budget. We still do have a little ways to go though, so I'm not gonna guarantee that we'll end up on budget, but it's looking very good, and we are still within budget. There's only been a handful of change orders, which is very common for this type of project. There's the remaining tasks that we need to complete with the schedule. As I said, we're waiting on the cables to arrive. Cozy's been working on building a wall that will provide temporary access to the bridge on the east side. So once those cables get installed, it'll take a couple months. You'll start seeing the cables start being installed one by one. Then we'll start forming the deck over the summer. Handrail lighting installation will occur late summer and in the fall. Then there'll be painting of the bridge steel that'll occur in the fall, and then we're still anticipating opening the bridge by the end of 2019. And then this is pretty cool. We've had a camera mounted to the top of the building that Cap City's located in. We've had a camera mounted there since the beginning of construction, and we're able to create time-lapse videos from that camera. So I'll just end with the time-lapse video from the beginning of construction to a couple of weeks ago. And notice the elevation of the river, because we really, last year was the wettest year on record ever. So you'll see the river go up and down a lot of times, which really was a pain, because it would wash the aggregate down, and Cozy would go and have to dig it and bring it back up many times. So that's pretty cool, and then you can just see the pipeline starting to take shape. You can see the seasons.
Is this video on your website anywhere?
I believe so. I have it on LinkedIn. I believe so. I can check and make sure though.
Did you have to work in conjunction with the people that run the water out of the O'Shaughnessy?
No, we haven't. No, we don't. I mean, we studied the river before we started construction to determine how high discussions are starting about the event and communication about the bridge opening. There's a lot of those.
Will the park start next year, is that?
So the park, the design is about 60% complete at this point. I believe Matt Ehrman, the Parks and Rec director, is gonna be presenting that to council in the very near future. And then design will be completed from there, and I believe that it could start yet this year. We've really been holding off on park construction because right now this entire area is proposing, and we have to make sure that we save enough room for them to bring these big cables and all the equipment that needs to be on both sides. So that'll be, the park construction will be right on the heels of the bridge construction. It's all one big coordination effort. Yes?
From end to end, how long is it, and what's the expected volume of foot traffic that's actually going to use it?
So it's 760 feet long total. There's elevated walkway on the west side. The elevated walkway is about, that's on the piers, the concrete piers. That's about 260 feet of the bridge, and then the suspended span is 500 feet long. And it just wasn't possible to have the entire 760 feet of the bridge be suspended. That tower would have been up to the moon. And it just would have been, I mean, the cost would have been this world, so. As far as volumes of pedestrian, I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can go back and make that up for you. Yes?
Megan, first off, I feel like we have a lot going on at the school, but you put this in perspective with all the things going on in the city. So thank you for that. I just want to say thank you. You all support our team in Dublin schools in such a great way. We're just so appreciative of your leadership, not just on the smart technologies on the bridge, but just all the help that you give us in our projects as well. So I just want to